Good day, everyone. Welcome once again to Education 501 with the course description Philosophical and Sociological Foundations of Education. This video lecture is intended for my students in the Graduate School of Eastern Visayas State University who are taking the course Master of Arts in Education. And today's video lecture, titled How Does Sociology Serve as a Foundation of Education, is a sequel to the previous, of course, um, video lecture on the meaning, nature, and dynamics of sociology. So the course again is philosophical and sociological foundations of education. So I'm done working on the philosophy parts, the introductory and the philosophical foundations of education. This time, I discuss about the meaning, nature, and dynamics of sociology, and the sequel again on how sociology serves as a foundation of education. So for the meaning, nature, and dynamics of sociology, please refer to my previous lecture on this. And please take note, especially for those listeners or students watching this video lecture who are not under my class, that I implemented a blended learning modality in my class. So I combined face-to-face sessions and online session using Moodle as our learning management system. So I pre-record most of my lectures and upload them to Moodle. So what I normally do in classes is introduce some kind of a flipped classroom style. Where I give my students ask my students where I ask my students to watch video lectures and read materials before coming to class for the face-to-face sessions. So when we have the face-to-face sessions, since they have watched the lectures in advance and read the materials, so the discussion became more meaningful and engaging. So um I after I or the recording of this lecture will be uploaded to Moodle for again my students at the Graduate School of Eastern Visayas State University who are taking again Master of Arts in Education. So for today's lecture, I'll be talking about sociology as a foundation of education. So I asked the question, how does sociology serve as a foundation to education? So how does sociology ground education, or in a sense, in what sense does sociology serve as the ground of education? Sociology serves as a vital foundation of education by offering insights into how individuals and groups interact within social structures, how cultural norms shape behavior, and how education systems function in a broader societal contexts. In my previous discussion on the meaning, nature, and dynamics of sociology, I explained very briefly there that sociology is very important in education because it provided, a theoretical lens in understanding the society. Because the argument is one of the primary concerns of education is the formation and the nurturing of the child into responsible professionals and individuals in the future who can contribute something positive to the society. So the argument is we cannot dissociate sociology from education. So a truly holistic education or educational system or education as a whole incorporates in its sociological perspectives, philosophical perspectives, psychological and other theories from the humanities and social sciences. Um, yeah. So indeed, sociology is a vital foundation of education. Indeed, education, being a social institution, cannot be fully understood or effectively developed without a sociological perspective. Of course, in addition to the philosophical, psychological, and other perspectives, of course, of education. Sociology, therefore, provides the tools and frameworks to analyze and address key issues such as social inequalities, diversity, socialization, and the role of education in societal transformation. So, as we can see again, sociology serves as a very important foundation of education. Specifically, sociology serves as one of the foundations of education in several ways. First, sociology aids education in the understanding of the socialization process. As we can see, education is a primary agent of socialization, transmitting cultural norms, values, and skills from one generation to the next. Indeed, sociologists help educators understand that learning is not only about acquiring knowledge, as we normally understood it. Education is more the classical understanding of education as the memorization of facts and figures, or the banking method of education, as Paulo Freire would call it. So learning is not just all about memorization of facts and figures, acquiring knowledge, but also about internalizing societal expectations and developing a sense of social identity. So that's where the social sciences and humanities come in. That is why in the tertiary education, there is the importance of general education, as foundations of any educational program out there, like engineering, computer science, biology, and name it. There's the general sciences, the general education programs or courses serve as a foundation, like sociology, philosophy, ethics, under philosophy and whatnot. Second, sociology provides a critical lens through which we can examine educational inequality. So one of the problems, especially in the third world countries like the Philippines, is inequalities in education. Like, like for example, there's a huge chasm between rich and poor institutions, educational institutions. Like in the Philippines, we have De La Salle University or Ateneo de Manila University, and we have poor, public universities, and then we have elite private primary and secondary schools compared to public schools. So in terms of the quality of graduates and in terms of physical setup, in terms of operations and whatnot, there's a huge difference, inequality, so to speak, between these institutions. So in understanding educational inequalities, especially in third world countries like the Philippines, sociology provides the critical lens. As we can see, examining educational inequality reveals how factors such as class, race, gender, and ethnicity influence access to quality education and academic success. Indeed, sociological theories such as conflict theory highlight how education systems can perpetuate social stratification by privileging certain groups over the others. So in terms of, like, for example, when a company hires new graduates or a company hires employees, there's always the primacy of private um elite institutions, HEIs or higher education institutions over, you know, not so well-known public or even private universities. So in understanding this inequality again, sociology provides the critical lens the theory. Third, sociology helps explains the interdependence between education and society. Just like in my previous discussion, as we said, we cannot dissociate sociology from education. Now, from we cannot dissociate sociology from education, just as we cannot separate education and society. So as long as there is human flourishing, as long as there is society, there is always what we call socialization process and socialization of the young, especially of the youngs of the youth is education in the strict sense of the words. When the process of socialization is the process of maturing, of making them um, um, cultured, learned individuals. Okay? For example, functionalist perspectives view education as essential to maintaining social order by preparing individuals for societal roles. So, aside from the functionalist perspectives, we have the the critical perspectives, critical theory perspective. We have perennialism. We have realism in education, idealism, constructivism, and whatnot. So, this philosophical and sociological perspectives in education again, help explains the dynamic interplay between education and society. Hence, sociology equips students with necessary knowledge and skills in promoting social cohesion through shared values and beliefs. Fourth, sociology plays a crucial role in curriculum development and teaching strategies by emphasizing cultural relevance and responsiveness. Here, a sociological approach enables educators to recognize the diverse cultural backgrounds of learners and adapt teaching methods accordingly. Indeed, sociology helps foster an inclusive learning environment where students feel respected and understood, which in turn enhances engagement and academic performance. So, just very briefly in this, especially if we talk about indigenous, people and the marginalized ones, students who are coming from the hinterlands or remote areas. So, teachers who do not fully understand or do not have a strong background in sociology and especially in cultural studies as a whole may have difficulties understanding, for example, why these poor and underprivileged students could not easily understand the lessons, especially in if yeah, especially if the school is situated in urban areas or in cities. So, I have experienced colleagues, friends who, I'm sorry to use the word, but sometimes underestimate um, the less privileged students, especially again those coming from the margins, from the remote areas, and the indigenous peoples as well. So sociology, in the sense, again, the theories, the theories and insights that educators could learn from sociology will help them, um, understand the case of the marginalized and less privileged students. Fifth and last, sociology contributes to policy formulation in education. For example, by collecting and analyzing data on enrollment, dropout rates, literacy levels, and other indicators, sociologists help design evidence-based policies that address systemic issues in education. So we have the idea of evidence-based or research-based policy. Now, in educational, in policy, um, we need to have, policymakers, especially in education, need to have enough data, a strong basis for their policies. And in this sense, sociology provides, help contributes or provides data for policymakers. Like again, in terms of enrollment, in terms of dropout rates. So when do we, for example, limit the number of students, or how much we allocate budget for a certain district or a certain school? Those, decisions, those policy should be informed by evidence or by data or by research. And again, sociology could contribute greatly in this aspect. Indeed, sociology serves as the foundation of education, as it first provides a deep understanding of the complex interplay between individuals, institutions, and society. Second, it helps educators, administrators, and policymakers critically examine the structures and practices of education, advocate for social justice, and promote transformative learning. And lastly, it integrates sociological insights in education, which in turn ensure that learning is not only a personal achievement, but also a powerful tool for building a more just and equitable society. So that's all for today's discussion on how sociology serves as the foundation of education. Thank you very much for your attention and have a good one, everyone. Until next time, thank you.